People pleasers are manipulators. I hate to say this, but it has to be said. Only when you, people pleaser, understand that by being in this constant state of pleasing others, you're not being cool, you're not being nice, you're not being a good person, but you're actually being a manipulator, I think it's very hard that you change. Because people pleasing is one of these terms that we don't see anything wrong with. We think that the only thing wrong with the people pleasing term and the way that people pleasers act is how they don't listen to their own feelings, their own wishes, which in itself, yes, it's not a good thing. But until you realize that this could actually be harmful to the other person as well, I think you don't change. At least with me, it took me understanding that people pleasing is manipulation to actually be like, okay, something has to change. So if you're a people pleaser and it's hard for you to say no to others, do things outside of what others expect from you, come have a seat at the adults table and let's talk about it. I'm Fernanda Rodriguez and welcome to the adults table. Being a people pleaser sucks, not only because as a people pleaser, you end up doing what everyone else wants but yourself, but also because it's a type of behavior that's praised. Everyone loves to have that one person in their lives who does everything that they want. That person who says everything that they want to hear. That's good. It's great. It keeps us in a comfort zone. A lot of times we look at these people and we say, so and so is so nice. This person is such a good brother. It's such a good husband, such a good whatever. When deep down, that person is actually terrified to be abandoned. That person is terrified to be rejected. So they think that just by being who they are, it's not enough. They're not going to be loved enough. They have to do everything that the other people want them to do. So they associate their value to what they do, not who they are. And that is sad. And I tell you this by experience, because up until a certain point in my life, I had no problem expressing my whole personality, saying no to others, and disagreeing with people. But at some point in my life, because all of my friends turned their backs on me with a reason, I get it. Well, I was very young, but that moment I was like, okay, I cannot be myself fully, right? People don't love me for who I am. And when you're a kid, you don't understand, you cannot separate things. You cannot understand that, yeah, I can be like this, but I should show this side of me in a different way, or I should be in control of this side of me. I should apply this in a different way. You don't understand that it's okay to be a certain way. It's just that you have to control the way that you act, or you have to control how you express that side of you. So for me, in my mind, I was like, I'm not loved for who I am. But then once you start showing love through your actions and agreeing with people and just being a mirror to them, you start realizing that they love you and they want you around because you're the person that always confirms their values, the person that always says yes. Who doesn't want someone like that beside them, right? So you develop this pattern of doing, or just agreeing. And you connect love to that, or the idea of love to that, in a way that if you break that cycle, then the love also goes away. So beneath all of the pleasing that the people pleaser does, there is a deep fear of losing others, of not being loved for who they are, that they prefer to not express sides of who they are, to compromise all the time, just so they don't lose that love. And don't get me wrong, I think it's very important that we compromise things in life. I also don't think that you have to express your opinions or your wishes every single time in every single conversation. I think you can be an agreeable person in certain scenarios to avoid, certain disagreements, to avoid losing your energy. You can do that to protect your energy in a way of having personas that you activate and that you leverage and you use in certain aspects of your life to protect your energy. That's completely fine. That's healthy. You should have personas. You should have that performative side of you. It's okay. We do that to protect our energy, to be appropriate in certain scenarios, so on and so forth. So that's not an issue. The issue becomes when your purpose in life is to please others all the time. It's okay for you to want to be a good friend. It's okay for you to do things for others. It's okay for you to not want to do something right now and do it regardless, just because you know that that matters to somebody else that you love. That's all okay. What I'm saying is when the basis for your actions and your thoughts is always what the other person is going to think and what the other person wants. I'm talking about a way of operating that people's wishes and feelings always matter more than your own. So when that happens, obviously you know that there's a downside, which is you're losing parts of yourself or you're losing things that matter to you so you can give others what they want all the time. You know that it's a downside for you, but deep down, let's be honest, you don't care. You really don't care. Consciously, you know that that's not ideal. So you tell yourself, yeah, I should listen to what I want more. And at some point in your life, it's going to become unsustainable and there's going to be a breaking point that you're going to be like, yeah, I have to start listening to what I want. But until then, you don't really care. You tell yourself that you do because you know that it's not great to be a people pleaser. So you're like, yeah, I should listen more to what I want. But deep down, you don't care enough because the fear of not being loved is bigger. So you're willing to do all of that because it's keeping you in a safe spot. So you don't care. That's the reality. Let's be very honest here. Now, when you understand that what you're doing is manipulating others, maybe you start caring sooner because it becomes a moral problem. It becomes a problem. They're like, okay, so I'm not the only one that I'm harming with all of this. This is also not good for others. Because think about it. What does it mean to manipulate others? You're doing something and you're leading a person a certain way so you get something in return, right? So you're articulating all of that for your own well-being. And that goal is to not be abandoned, for example. So you're willing to lie to a person or to not tell them the full truth just so you get what you want, which is not to be abandoned. And yeah, sometimes we're going to lie to protect their feelings. Sometimes we all do this. But constantly just validating what they want, what they say, instead of telling them the truth, which could be more beneficial to them, just so you don't lose them, that's manipulation. You're not doing the person any favor. You think you are, but you're not. And if some people turn their backs on you because they only want you to be a mirror to them, they just want someone who's going to say yes to everything that they want, yes to everything that they do, then maybe that's not a real friend. Maybe that's not someone who you want to be friends with. So you become an unreliable person because how can people know if what you're saying is true or you're just agreeing for the sake of agreeing? Some of the best connections in your life, the deepest connections, the most important connections, are going to value honesty. At least they should. They're going to value having people next to them that actually have opinions and that can make them think in a different way and can help them grow. If you're just a yes ma'am, a yes sir person, what value do you actually have in their lives? It gets old. So not only do you lose yourself in this process because you get to a point that you don't even know what you want anymore. You don't even know as a person what you value anymore. You cannot pick the things that you like because you don't know what you like. Because you like what others like. So not only do you lose yourself in this process, but you become a terrible friend. You become a manipulator. So you see how those things should be taken into account when you think about people pleasing. You are going to lose yourself in this process. Hear me out when I say this. It's going to get to a point that you go to a restaurant and you don't know what to order because you don't know what you like. It's going to come to a point that everyone else is living their lives doing what they want and you're like, I don't know what to do because I've always just been a follower to this person. And now that they're not here, then I don't know what I should do. So that in itself is sad. But I do want to focus in the manipulation side of things because, again, I think it's important. I think it's important to call it for what it is. Every time that we romanticize a term, every time that we use it as a cute little term, which people pleasing is, it's like, oh, I'm such a people pleaser. Oh, this is my people pleasing. Like every time we use them in this way, we don't change because we think there's no harm to it. So I need you to start thinking that, yes, I'm being a manipulator when I do this. And to think twice before just saying yes or agreeing to someone for the sake of it and to not lose them. It's safe to be who you are. You can be a person who chooses to be easy to deal with in certain moments. You can become a person that chooses when to share their opinion or their wishes, their wants, but operating in a way that you prioritize everybody but yourself is unsustainable. Become a true friend to your friends and to the people in your life. Your real friends, the people who really love you for who you are. But your brain needs to understand this. It needs to understand that being who you are is safe. And it's only going to understand that when you do a mental work, obviously, to tell yourself that, hey, it's safe to be who I am. When you change that voice in your head that is so scared and so afraid of showing who you are. So yes, there is a mental aspect to it that you have to work on, but there's also a practical aspect to it that you start doing it enough times that your brain understands that people are not abandoning you when you show them who you are. So it starts understanding, okay, it's safe to be who I am. So start doing that in small doses with people that you know you're more comfortable with. Start doing that just so your brain understands that it's safe. You are loved for who you are. Stop being a people pleaser. Stop being a manipulator. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you on the next episode.